Going over to question number 14 now. Here we have a question that we refer to as translating slope. In these questions, the SAT will ask you to demonstrate that you understand how slope works in some kind of real life scenario. So you start by writing slope is change in y over change in x, and then you fill in the details of the question. So when we're here in this equation, the big thing that kind of tells us this is translating slope is when they ask us if a temperature increased by 2.10 Kelvin, by how much did it increase in Fahrenheit? Well, if you have experience with slope, that should remind you of the phrase slope is change in y over change in x. It's the change in this for every change in that. So the translating slope method says, okay, write out change in y over change in x, and then put in what the y in this question is talking about and what the x in this question is talking about. Now, before we continue, let's just simplify a little bit. Let's pretend to distribute. And I say pretend because I'm not actually going to do the calculation on it. But you know, f of x is y. So we have y right here equals 9/5 x minus 9/5 times this other number here, and then plus 32 at the end. So this is already in the format of mx plus b. So all this stuff is the b because none of that has an x attached to it. So the b is the part of the equation that doesn't have the x in a linear situation like this. So now we know a little more decidedly that the slope is the 9/5. And so in this situation, what are y and x? Well, x is the number of kelvins, so the change in kelvins. And the y, the whole function, that's the temperature in Fahrenheit, so the change in Fahrenheit. And by the way, what's that equal to? It's equal to 9/5, because the slope is 9/5. Now the question says, if the temperature increased by 2.1 kelvins, so we'll put 2.1 on the Kelvin side of it, what's it going to change in Fahrenheit? Let's put some random letter here. You don't want to put X for that because the top is actually not X, it's Y. But whenever you have a proportion, you can cross multiply. We can say A times 5 equals 9 times 2.1. So 5A equals 9 times 2.1, which is 18.9. Now we can just divide both sides by 5. And A is equal to 18.9/5, which is 3.78. And our answer is A.